You're listening to Business Podcasting Made Easy, the Influencer's Formula, where you get a roadmap to instant authority and thought leadership with a podcast that you're proud of on the IBGR network is where we are broadcasting live. This is episode 42, and today we are continuing our conversation with Chris O'Byrne, best-selling author and owner of Jet Launch Publishing and publisher of 12,000 plus. That's more than 12,000 books to talk about this episode. Misconception number one in the publishing world. Misconception number one, it's better to be traditionally published than self-published. Looking forward to diving into this one, Chris. I am Donna Cundy, co-founder of the IBGR Network, global radio authority, podcast expert, and producer of over 14,000 podcasts.
Thanks, and I'm Ben Joya, three-time international best-selling author, creator of the Influence with a Heart method, and my teachings have reached more than 50,000 people around the world, all thanks to leveraging my books, I should say. And it's really interesting. Donna, you've heard this. Chris, you've heard this. Oh, printed books are going away, right? Absolutely not, right? I love this quote from Evgeny Morozov. Thank you. After all that practice, I still didn't quite get it. And he said, somebody ought to publish a book about the doomsayers who keep publishing books about the end of publishing. So, hey, printed books, published books are not going to go away. They're going to expand their forms, but they are not going away. And it's really, really important for you listeners, just like us, right, to remember that 99% of the time, traditional publishing is not the way to go. And sometimes there's that perception or misperception of self-publishing as self-publishing means I put my PDF on Amazon, right? So let's put that on the shelf, no pun intended, and think about non-traditional publishing. So Chris, can you say a little bit more about why non-traditional publishing is better for folks like us?
Well, it's kind of like going to the casino. The house always wins. You might get a few benefits up front. You might feel good for a while, but in the end, the house is going to win and you're going to lose. And it's about control. It's about money. It's about control. Did I mention control? And if you're going to use your book for anything useful and you want to have any sort of say in it, you don't go the traditional publishing route. Bottom line.
What do you mean by control, Chris? You mentioned that a few times, and I don't want to say I'm a control freak, but I don't like to be told what to do. I'm a business owner. Dang it.
Well, people think that when they traditionally publish that it's their book, and it's not. It no longer is your book. You sign away your rights to that book. Now, if you're halfway aware, you're going to make sure that your contract stipulates that you're only giving away, say, the print and ebook, but there are all sorts of other rights involved in your book, and then the ability to control what goes in the book, because you've now lost your ability to say what goes in your book. You wrote the thing, shouldn't you have control? But no. In some cases that's all right, because if they do a great job of editing, for example. But let's say that you want to put a call to action in, and you want to be able to use your book to build your business or get speaking gigs or do anything. Most traditional publishers aren't going to let you do that. You have signed away your rights in exchange for these millions of dollars, 10% of the royalties. And for what? So,
because I want to be a best-selling author on Wall Street. That's why.
Yeah. Wait till you find out that the traditional publishers do not market your book. They explicitly state that you have to market your book. You're responsible. They're responsible to get it out there and collect most of the money. That's what they do. They'll do a halfway decent job editing and designing, and they'll do the distribution, and then they collect the money. Unless you're a big name, there is no way that they're going to help you with the marketing of that book. Just putting it in the bookstores isn't going to help you. Seriously, when's the last time even people like us went to a bookstore to buy a book? I go on Amazon.
Right.
I like bookstores. Books are my
Oh, I
friend.
love them.
I actually visit quite often. I'm one of the weird ones, but
You're an outlier.
yes, yes, and
Not a
I'm proud
liar,
of
just an outlier.
it. Right. Yeah. So this
Yeah.
idea
So
of
yeah, it's that kind of
self-publishing,
control.
got you. Self-publishing tends to be like a dirty word. It's like a lot of baggage around that, right?
There is, which is so funny because most of the history of books, self-publishing was the only publishing. This whole publishing industry, traditional publishing thing, it's not really that old. Even in the 1800s, Charles Dickens was publishing his own books. There wasn't a
What?
publisher out there doing it. It wasn't until printers got really, uh, the printing machines got good enough. And then some people, I mean, it's business. Some people are like, oh, we can make money if we do this, this, and this. And then it turned into, well, you can't really, get a whole lot of books out there unless you go through one of these big printers. I mean, that's why it's so exciting to see how everything has changed dramatically in the last 20 years or so. Um, so the whole idea of self-publishing as something new, no, self-publishing is way older than the quote traditional publishing model.
That's huge. I think that's tremendously important, right? Because so much of human experience, right, and so much of human suffering, not just in the publishing world, but comes from myths, misperceptions, misunderstandings, disempowering beliefs about, people, circumstances, events, and situations. So, the truth shall set you free. Like, yeah, right. This is where we get to start that. And all the things, Chris, you've helped me understand this, right? Because you published my third book. Thank you for doing such a great job with that. You non-traditionally published my third book, right? And all of the things like, yeah, did I get fantastic cover design? Yes. Did I get fantastic editing? Yes. Did I get an ISBN number? Yes. Do I own my intellectual property? Yes. Did I get my book in 40,000 bookstores around the world? Yes, I did, right? I didn't need some conglomerate, right? And some, marking up entity to do that for me, right? Like I got to do that in partnership with you in, taking a strategic approach to my book rather than, thinking about vanity and, God, Chris, what did we did research, right? We did industry research, looked at some of the big, traditional publishers out there that provide different levels of services just around publishing the book, right? Some guidance and some book coaching with publishing and some ghostwriting with publishing. Some companies were charging like $63,000, right? Just to publish the book and ghostwrite, right? It's like, yeah, do I want to do that? Or do I want to put a, down payment on a house here in Spain right now? Kind of easy option and, and still get my book published and still leverage it for my business.
Yeah, actually 125,000 was one of the ones I saw. When you add in ghostwriting, 125,000.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And it just reminds me also, like I've hired some marketing experts who are very good at what they do, but I didn't know enough about what I wanted or needed when I was spending the money. And so at the end of the contract, I didn't get what I had thought I was going to get because I didn't even know. And if I'm going to be investing that kind of money into something and I still don't even know, I mean, oh, good golly, I would want to have someone I could talk to. I would want to have somebody that can really take my hand and walk me through how to understand all of this process. And I love that I love the personal touches that your organization, your company does, Chris, with authors.
Yeah, I mean, the question shouldn't be, should I do self-publishing? It's why would I want to do traditional publishing? Look at self-publishing first. Try to come up with some reasons to do traditional publishing, but not for vanity's sake, just some really practical reasons. And unless you can find them, don't go down that road because just to get in is next to impossible because still most authors are trying to get into traditional publishing, not realizing what a trap it is.
Yeah, yeah. They both start with the letter T, traditional.
Yes. Just imagine one of those big
Very
bear traps
observant.
grabbing your leg.
Yeah, yeah, and Chris, thank you for saying all that. One of the things that drives me absolutely bonkers, right, is that many traditional publishers, many hybrid publishers as well, right? There's that minute, you have to buy this minimum number of books, right? And they're charging you like they're getting a royalty on the books, and then you have to buy back the books, and
They sit in your garage collecting dust.
it's in your garage. It's like, why wouldn't you do non-traditional publishing, do print on demand? And if you need one book, you get one book, right? If you need 1,000 books, you get 1,000 books, right? Like no muss, no fuss. Like, Chris, am I missing something here?
No, I mean, yeah, I don't understand why anybody would seriously consider traditional publishing. Like one of those publishers, Wiley, I had an author who had who received a contract from them. It stated that if they could not in 2 years sell 10,000 books, they had to buy the remainder. Well, most people aren't going to sell more than a couple hundred unless they, because they got to put the work into it. So, and that's buying them at cost. It's not not at cost at, the retail price. So that's many thousands of dollars, which you could have used a fraction of that and spent a whole bunch on marketing and gotten all these great, wonderful things at a fraction of the price that you'd have to pay a traditional publisher.
Right. And send your child to college, or at least for part of that time. Like,
But have the freedom that you want, which is why most of business owners are going into business to begin with, is that freedom thing. But as we start to wrap up this episode, for our listeners, let's boil it down. What you need to do to not fall into this trap of this misconception of the traditional publishing is to understand the benefits of non-traditional publishing for your business. Know that you own the intellectual property. You don't need a book proposal. You don't need to buy 1,000 books that may end up sitting in your garage. We said that a lot. Just find the right publisher for you, and not just somebody who's going to publish your book, but the right publisher, and that let them guide you along with that. Chris is at Jet Launch is a great resource for you. We do have a hard stop though coming up, so we got to end this one on the influencers formula. This is episode 42, misconception number 1. It's better to be traditionally published than self-published. We do have our special guest, Chris O'Byrne, who's going to be joining us for the next 2 episodes, so do not go anywhere. We're coming right back. I'm Donna Cundy.
I'm Ben Joya.
I'm Chris O'Byrne.
And we'll see you soon.
Thank you for listening.